Yeah, what is most precious here is it did not change. The gospel that we found here have not changed over all the years. We met up with it the first time in 1978. It was so precious to hear, and that the word came alive, that what is written came alive. I grew up in a Christian home, and I met up with the Lord. I gave my life to the Lord when I was in the trick. After that, I was involved in a youth campaign in 1974, where we traveled the country, went to 10 biggest cities and spent some time there, mainly focusing on that the youth will preach to the youth, and it's not a minister that's standing in front of you. So we came also all walks of life together, and it was a wonderful time together. After that, I started working, studying as well, and also got married. I was blessed with 4 highly gifted children. We came here, and the first thing that we met up with was that the truth is that the Lord expects us to live pure lives. Which, if you go to the other churches, most of the churches say, no, it's impossible. But here we heard and we learned that the Lord expects from us to live a clean and open life, and that it would be to His honor. In that time that we were here, as I said, we were the only family, and Reverend Stephen, we had the time and the privilege that he could speak to us and share with us a whole revival story from 1966. And many of that is now being recorded in films and other things. In my career, I was blessed. I was advanced faster than other people, because I believe that it was because the Lord needed somebody, a spokesperson at a higher level. So at a young age, I was appointed director at the company where I worked. What I did not know is something crept in my heart. I never thought of myself as being proud. I worked with the people that worked with me, although I was their director. I worked with them on the floor, whatever is necessary to be done, I was part of it. And but slowly it's happened that I thought I was better than other people. And then the Lord put me to a test, which I terribly failed. We were put a challenge to do a specific job. I was in IT, and to convert some software to a new open platform. In those days, the software that was used was very dedicated to a specific supplier of hardware, and then the question came from management. They want to use an open platform because we were almost kept hostage by the suppliers of the hardware. They then said, well, if we can do it in 3 years, the mainframe computer that was just purchased at that time can be sold back to the supplier at 10% of its original cost, which was in those days, and I'm talking about the late 90s, 2 million rand. It was quite a lot of money. Now, we started to call this the cake. And we said, how are you going to divide the cake? And as part of the board, I advised, I said, you must recognize, give recognition for everybody, not only the people that start working in the program, but even the T-bill, because they are going to be consultants and her load will also be increased. So just give everybody everything, or a piece of it. However, the people that was on the software side in control decided otherwise. And it was just quiet, kept quiet for some time, and then close to the end of the third year, some of my people came to me, and I had a very dedicated team that worked with me. And they said, there are rumors going around that the cake is going to be paid out in bonuses. And I said, well, that's the first word I hear about it. So I'll go and find out. So I went to our executive, and he said to me, since when do you listen to rumors? And a couple of days later, the union came to me. And they said, you lied to us. I said, what? And they put a piece of paper in front of me. Said, these people are all paid out in annual salary as a bonus. You lied to us. And I was caught in the middle of management and people. They just put tools down. They said, we're not going to work with you anymore because you are a traitor. So the next morning he called me, and he was really angry. And he said to me, I hear that you are spreading stories about bonuses. I said to him, but I came to you about that, and you said that's just rumors. Since when do I listen to rumors? So he didn't have anything to say. But then I took out a piece of paper that the union gave me. I said, but is this what you're talking about? And this man just exploded. He said, well, this is confidential information. Where do you get it? Etc. And I said, it's coming from the union. So everybody knows about it. It's not a secret anymore. That now you come and you explain to my people, because they all put their tools down. I had 54 people in my department, and the afternoon when the meeting was there, all 160 of the institution was there. They all wanted to know. And I left the meeting. I just asked, did I come to you and ask you these questions, and was this your answer? And he said yes. So I left, and later one of my senior members came and said, well, they've got the money's been paid out. So, and they just say that the board gave it to them, which I knew was not true. Anyway, I was caught in this thing where I went on my knees in the morning and I said, Lord, what did I do to deserve this? In the evening, the same prayer, or maybe 2 months, even longer. And one night when I was on my knees again at my bed, praying the same prayer, because I was captured in this situation between, on the one side, the people, where I had the best functional department in the institution, and management on the other side. Management say you're not doing your work, and people say, if you want loyalty, get yourself a dog. So I was caught in the middle. And of course you considered to resign and to go to another place, but I could not, because I felt responsible for these people. They are now blamed for everything that goes wrong. While I was on my knees, it was as if the Lord came and He stood next to me. He said, you go and you apologize to the executive, the guilty part. It was so clear, I just jumped up from my knees. I said, Lord, you cannot be serious. You cannot expect, this man broke down my whole department. The money that he got, he bought himself a holiday home. That's how much it was. And you expect me to apologize to you? I said, sorry, I'm not going to do it. And I walked away. So I became a Christian, a non-praying and non-Bible reading Christian. And I became a critic of everybody and everything. I could tell you whatever another person did except what I did. and I became an angry person. Those who loved me, who was dear to me, my family, they became the victims of all my anger. My wife was diagnosed with cancer. And even then I couldn't go on my knees and pray for her. All the other people prayed for her, but I couldn't. And on the other side, in my career, it was as if I can call it, received a supercharge. I made progress in my career which had knowledge that people did not have. I could foresee things that other people, how did you know that? And I was representing South Africa internationally. I was part of a development team for the smart card technology that you have in your bank cards today. I was part of that team. I served on the Reserve Bank Committee. I served on the Bureau of Standards. And so if you looked career-wise at me, I was the success that everybody wanted. I earned a massive salary, but I was dead inside. And I had the struggle at work that those people that were so committed before this incident, they had this attitude that we took their money that belonged to them, and they were right, because that money was earmarked to pay the people for the work, the extra work that they did, and they haven't seen anything. So they started stealing computers, laptops, and the most ridiculous things, printers. Let me not go into that detail, but I became a person hunting down criminals, building up files of all the things that they did wrong. Let's say that was part of what I became. And where we had previously such a good relationship among the people, I just became impossible. To such an extent that top management came to me and said, well, you are so involved in the smart card technology, here's a project, 380 million rand project. Will you please, we need your position for affirmative candidate. Will you resign and then as a contractor work for us on this and to get this project going? I was so tired of all the staff problems, etc., that I just said yes, I will. And I left without having the contract in my hand. So 6 months down the line, I discovered that it was just, the intention was just to get rid of me. It was not about the affirmative candidate, they just wanted to get rid of the problem. And where I thought that I will run my own business, in IT, everybody's a success, except when the Lord closed the doors. The Lord closed the one door after the other, that I suddenly just saw my money disappear. I don't have money to pay the telephone, the electricity, etc. There's just no money. I don't have money for food. And I had to look in other people's eyes. I had to call my family together. And I said to them, my children were all there. I said to them, I must tell you that I have paid the last accounts. I don't have money for the rest of the month and next month to pay what to eat. I will never forget that, the look of my late wife. She just looked me in the eye. She said, you made a promise to my father. You will take care of me. And she stood up and walked away and said, something broke in me. But through a miracle, the Lord provided that there was always just enough money to pay the necessities. And my wife just got more and more seriously sick. And I think it was this tension that actually enhanced her illness and cancer. So, yeah, some of those things you don't want to remind yourself of, but it happened. So I decided, well, there's quite a big life insurance on me. So if I commit suicide, not letting it look like suicide, then it will pay out, and with the money that comes from insurance, it will be possible to pay the money that I already borrowed from people. And there will also be money left for my wife to survive as long as she's going to live. So I planned to shoot myself. And I called my children. I said to them, will you please take your mother somewhere, take her to dine out, to the movies or whatever. She's very stressed out. And they came and they fetched her. When they left, I went to the safe and I took out a pistol. I loaded the pistol and I tried to make it look like a burglary. But as I had the firearm loaded, the bell at the gate started ringing, but not like when you push a button. It's as if it was stuck. It kept on ringing.
Okay.
And the dogs went ballistic. So I thought it's a beggar, and on my way out, I just took a 10 rand from my purse. I think it was the last one I had, to get rid of this person. And when I got there, it was somebody I knew. And I said, yes, can I help? He said, I'm coming for coffee. But in a way that I could not say, sorry, I'm busy now, can you come at another time? So I invited him in. I took him to the family room, said, please sit down, I'm going to make the coffee. He said, no, I'm coming with you. And he followed me all the way. I made the coffee, and we were sitting there. We did not have much of a conversation, but the time passed, and after a while I heard the motor gates open and the dogs barking their welcome bark for the family that's coming home. I just remembered the firearm that was still loaded in the bedroom. So I said, will you please excuse me, I must do something. He said, yes. I ran down, I unloaded the firearm, put it back into the safe, locked it up. I came back and I said, if you enter, where you enter the kitchen, you can see all the way up to where the people come in through the garage. And my family just came in with my wife to the garage. And I looked. I said to them, now, where is the person that was here? Is it what person? We looked. Doors were all locked. There was nobody. So the only conclusion that I can come to is that night the Lord sent an angel. I could not remember who it was. I knew him when I went to the gate, but when I came, I could not remember who it was. They asked me, who was here? I don't know. So then, my oldest son, he sold a vehicle, BMW, that he got from me. He sold it to a person in Welkom, but the transaction fell through. And since I did not really have work, he very carefully asked me, Father, since you've got some time, won't you please go and fetch the vehicle? As I drove down with this lift that he arranged, saw the bridges and I thought, look, this is brilliant. People die in vehicle accidents every day, so this is the opportunity. And I got the vehicle, and when you go out of Welkom Main Street coming now to Kranskop, the highway makes a turn and there's another highway that crosses it over. So it was not a straight stop. So I was going about 160 kilometers an hour because the BMW have to do a proper job, looking for a place where I could end it all. And the moment when I thought this is a place I wanted to turn, I cut out. It was just a blank. And when I got to myself, the bridge was behind me. I went on the next bridge approach, the same happened. 23 times. I landed back in Pretoria in front of my house in a record time because I was traveling between 160 and 200 kilometers an hour. In peak traffic on a cement highway in Johannesburg, and there was no accident. I just went like this through the traffic at that speed. Nobody stopped me, nothing. So I ended up at home. And strange how you remember certain things. I remember when I stopped in front of my gate, the engine was so hot, it made that sound. Yeah, when the engine is very hot. Saying that something like that stays in your mind. And for the first time in 12 years, I cried out to the Lord. I said, Lord, I cannot even commit suicide. And the Lord made me remember at that time a co-worker in Pretoria of the mission, KwaSizabantu Mission. So I called him and he said, yeah, I'll come for a cup of coffee. So I didn't even go into my house and tell my wife I'm here. I just got into the car and I drove out to Bondservant. And when I came there, I just shared with him what a mess I made of my life. After knowing and being exposed to the revival message that we got, and he just listened to my story and he said, after some time, he said to me, Giel, I cannot tell you what you must do, but I can tell you one thing. That is that if you take the life that the Lord gave you, you will open your eyes in hell. I said, no, Uncle, it cannot be. It's for a good reason, good purpose. I don't want to leave my children with all these debt. So it's for a good reason. And he said to me, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just going to pray that the Lord will open your eyes. And he prayed just that. He said, Lord, will you please open Giel's eyes? I went back into my car and I drove around and I got onto the toll road between Bondservant and Pretoria. And I drove. And across Atteridgeville there are two trees standing next to the road. That's where I met the Lord. Had to pull off. And the first thing that the Lord said to me, do you remember? Do you remember? I said, Lord, it doesn't make sense to me. I can't see why I must apologize to that person, but just because of obedience, I will do it. If you expect that from me. Yeah, I still did not know why I should apologize. So, but when I stepped into his office, I don't know if you ever had the experience where you hear yourself speaking.
Yes.
It was like I vomited out the things, what the Lord, and it was a revelation to me, my pride, how I did not respect him as my senior, as the Lord said, you must honor those that he appointed above you. I did not do it. When he said left, I said right. When he said up, I said down, just out of principle because of what he's done. I worked up the people against him that at some stage I feared that if one of them get him in the street, they'll run him over. Now I worked up, and all of this just came out. And my pride, and I was standing there listening to myself. And when I was finished, he asked me, "Is that all?" I said, "That is what I can remember now." He said, "So, what do you want me to do?" I said, "Well, I came to ask your forgiveness. Will you forgive me for these things that I've done?" Why, I always blamed him that he was the person who broke down my department. It was actually me. You know, in a revelation like that, it's like that it's like light going on, that you see for the first time the darkness that you were in. And he looked me for quite a while. He looked me in the eye and he said, "Well, if it will make you feel better, I forgive you." But when I walked out there, I left my baggage inside the office. And the wonderful thing is that the Lord could, in His grace, start to rebuild what I broke down. My wife was very ill at that stage. It was about 2 months before she passed. And she said, now this was before I went to this man. I was still a very angry person. She said she wanted to come to the mission to make her life right. And I didn't want to bring her. My 2 daughters brought her. And she had a time when she would make her life right, and she could come back. And when she passed, I called Reverend Steve and I said, "Would you be available to take the funeral?" And he said, "Yes, because I know, but we have services, so I can't come." But the night before, it was the 1st of May 2010. It was a public holiday. Then Friday night he called me. It was raining, pouring in Pretoria. It was wet. He said, "How's the weather?" I said, "Well, I don't know. It just stopped raining now." He said, "I'm flying tomorrow morning, 5:30. He came, he took the funeral, he came back and carried on with the services here. It's just what I can say. 2 weeks after that, after the funeral, I woke up on Sunday morning, and you're in the, I took care of her. She was with us, with me in the house, and then I suddenly realized, okay, she's not there, so I can sleep a little bit longer. And as I dozed off, I had a dream of her, where she stood in front of me, just a portrait. So I simply said, "Go to KwaSizabantu." But so clear that when I woke up, I was going through the whole house, I was searching there, and my daughter came out and said, "Dad, we buried her." She thought I lost it. I said, "But she was here now." And she told me this. And then I could come down here, and I asked Reverend Stephen, would there be maybe something that I can do? And I started working in the woodwork shop. And there, the Lord put me specifically there to learn a lot of lessons. You see, I had this thing in my heart of, my diary was booked a year in front with all my meetings or whatever. And dear Uncle Robert that was here, I worked with him and with other people as well. But I came in one morning and said, "Uncle Robert, what is on our agenda for today?" And he looked at me and he said, Phil, I don't know. The Lord hasn't showed us yet. And I thought, man, if you know there's work to be done, you go and do it. Why must you wait for the Lord to show you? It was as if he poured a bucket of cold ice water over the whole conversation, so we were just staring at each other. And there came a lady in with a broken broom. She said, Uncle Robbie, will you please repair this one? I said, yes. And we were still busy with her. Another one came in, a chair was broken. Another one came in, a desk. There's something on the desk, will you please? 10 minutes later, Uncle Robert turned around and said, you see, Phil, the Lord has filled our day. And I felt like sinking into the ground. But the Lord had to, when you think you are something, the Lord has to work hard to make you know you are nothing. And by His grace only I can say I came to realize that I'm nothing. Whatever He can use me for, may it bring honor to His name. I was 12 years at the college. I helped at the college, and now a little bit more than a year I'm at the Quebec. And in various aspects. So what I've seen over the years, that the Lord is bringing people who has got certain abilities and can be used in a certain capacity, which is a need at that time. I've seen it. It's happening every day still today. So I can just thank the Lord that I can be part of this work.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. It was really touching and definitely something that I think everyone should just maybe sometimes just take a step back and just look at their lives and just think, what am I really doing?
I think if I can just wrap up by saying this, that I thought that the Lord would change His mind. But after 12 years, He didn't change His mind. So what I can share with people is, if the Lord tells you to do something, the quicker you do it, the better for yourself. If He shows something for you that's not right, tend to it, make it right. In 12 years, He didn't change His mind. He didn't soften the instruction that He said. It didn't make sense to me. It was just, I realized, I said, just for Him to be obedient, that's all. I don't know why, but when I walked into that office and I heard myself speak, I knew why. And the Lord revealed to me who I really was. So, if I can pass that on to people, don't necessarily think if you are a great success in what you do, that's it's a gift of God. Don't think so. It can be that the enemy is just helping you on, because by helping you on, he gets you off the trail. Gets you off the trail.